overhead. So setting them up in the 4G overhead position to kind of simulate the groove weld, give them some good practice on the root pass. So this looks a lot like the root pass on a regular standard beveled structural steel welding test plate. It gives me good practice on staying on the leading edge of that puddle, not getting out there too far and shooting wire through, and I can get a second pass on it and see, kind of gauge arm positioning and how I want to, my line of sight and the machine settings. This is just a tad cold, but it's a little thicker, so it's going to make a little difference. This is 3/4 inch here, so what's a tad cold on here will be just about right for the 3/8 plate. It gives me a little chance to shake the rust off before I jump on a test, and it's very similar, actually. An outside corner joint like this, very similar to, or you can actually do the inside as well and get some good press with my other hand. This is the line of sight that I kind of use, where I'm a little bit to one side looking this way. Now the camera view on these welds is from the other side because, I've made it work, and I've seen a lot of guys make it work also before, but for me, a straight in or a slight push, just making sure you're on the front of that puddle, works good for the second and third passes. All right, here's the root pass on the first attempt on the beveled plate. Got about a 3/32nd, roughly a 3/32nd gap. And you want to try probably not do a whole lot of wiggling side to side, but this acted a little bit like it was going to be a little bit too mounded up if I didn't spread it out just a little bit. So I'm concerned about that second pass, about not having to grind it, and that's why I did that. Here's a little bit narrower gap, and it goes a little bit better, just a little bit less wiggle. This is magnified a little bit, so it looks like a lot more than it is. And that works out pretty good. Just a slight convex root pass. I'm not going to have too much of a hard time burning into the toes of those weld. And if you're humped up at all, you want to get a grinder out and knock the crown off that root pass so that you don't have any trouble burning into the toes of the weld. So the second pass, I want to come out not quite. I don't want to nip the edges of the bevel. I don't want to go fast enough across the middle, pausing just enough on the sides, not get undercut or anything, but fast enough. I want to be flat. I want to have a nice flat bead, and I want to be about a 1/16 of an inch below flush in preparation for that cover pass, because that's going to make the cover pass go in a whole lot better. That's just a little bit below flush, and that's kind of what I want. If you do get a little bit of a crown, a little bit of a humped up second pass, you can still make it work. This is not too bad either. If it gets too out of whack, you want to hit it with a grinder before you put the cover pass on, if you're allowed on a test. You need to be able to do it without a grinder, because you don't ever know what kind of test supervisor you're going to get that says, "Up, you're done tacking it, give me the grinder." Then you're just stuck. You got to make it work. So this is that pass that was kind of full, a little bit of a convex fill pass. I'm just kind of going as fast as I dare across the middle and holding on those toes to, kind of make it go better, make it not have undercut. But it worked, but not as good as this one is a little bit below flush. I know this looks like vertical, but trust me, it was just it's camera angle. This is an overhead shot, just a little bit different camera angle. But this is the fill pass is about a 1/16 below flush here, and it's going in a whole lot better. And the end result is going to look a lot better. Not because there's the AWS requirements are usually an 1/8. Personally, when I grade tests, if it's really uniform, if it's slightly above, I usually would take that into consideration. But here's one that kind of filled out a little bit too much with me. It was flat out flush before I ever got started. In which case, again, you have to kind of take a little bit bigger step and go a little bit faster across the middle, and try to not build up too much. But you're a whole lot better shape if you can leave that second pass below flush. See, that's a little heavy.